Welcome to East Coast DNA. We're back with another apartment talk episode. It's been a while since we've had someone here in the apartment live, but today we have, and I'm actually, you guys don't realize this, but I rarely have Pictou County bands featured on this show at all.
Oh, no way.
As live footage, sure. So there's lots of people that are aware that there's bands around me all the time, but I don't very often get a chance to do a full interview with anybody that lives locally around here. So thanks for stopping by. I know we've been wanting to get this one in the books for a little while too.
Our pleasure, man.
So I think right off the bat, there's 2/3 of the band StoneHouse sitting here in front of me, but depending on how long of a fan somebody may have been, could be considered one half of the band. So if you go all the way back, you guys were a 4-piece band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how long was that? Like, you guys have been around, 10 years as a band?
We're going into our 9th year.
9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So close.
And going way back then, 9 years, the foundation of I know infamously around here, people are aware of you guys. So the name StoneHouse itself,
Infamously, that's hilarious.
comes from your rehearsal space originally. Is that the StoneHouse name?
It's actually from when I was 14. I'm starting to smile. I just told this story so many times.
Yeah. It's a great
I'll
story.
tell it again. It's not
I'm trying
it's not
to
like we're
compress it a
famous
little.
and people are like, "Oh my god, he told the story." No, when I was 14, my mom threatened to cut the cable off and get rid of our N64 and wanted us to do some healthier habits. And anyway, got a hold of my dad. He's a bass player, and he gave me my first bass guitar back in 2004. And the weekend I came back from my dad's, I actually moved into the StoneHouse that used to be on East River Road.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a real place, a real house that I lived in as a kid, as a young teenager. And there was 2 other guys, Jonathan Allen and Jacob Allen. They had about a year on me of playing already. Jacob was playing drums and John was playing guitar. So I was trying to keep up with them, and we would jam in the StoneHouse in the basement. And my silly aunt would come over and say, "You guys got to name the band the StoneHouse Jammers, StoneHouse Jammers." And we were like, that's so lame, that's so cringe, whatever. And then we were like, but StoneHouse, that's cool. So the name has kind of survived all the way back to when I was 14 with a dream.
Just imagine you could have picked Jammers instead. You could have picked Jammers all
just
these
the
years
Jammers.
instead, yeah.
Well, when we started this group, Pat's didn't want the name to be StoneHouse. It wasn't intended to bring that name back from his like childhood, and his like stepbrother at the time or whatever's band.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
but I was like, I think it's fucking sick. I think it's a rocking name. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's already a thing. It's fucking ripping name. And he's like, you sure? And we all kind of just turned on you. We were like, oh, let's do it. Let's do it. And you were like, all right,
Because
all
in the
right.
back of my head, I was like, maybe I will still have some kind of a band or project with this Jonathan and Jacob, and hopefully we'll record some stuff someday soon.
We just had to steal the name.
Yeah, that's
was
what
such
it
a
was.
sick name. It was like
and I
it's-
said, well, I don't know if,
And it always fit
everybody
our
in
sound.
the band. It did.
It always
really
fit.
did.
It always fit what we were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting because he had his thing, and then I came from playing with Scott in a different band, and then
okay.
we kind of came together.
So you brought Scott over with you then?
Yeah, the first few jams as StoneHouse, we had 6 of us in there.
Yeah.
There was
Not even Scott, a different drummer.
different
too.
drummers. So
Oh, wow.
and Scott didn't play the first gig of StoneHouse either
No. We played the Jam for Jimmy in
with a different drummer.
2015 with a different drummer. Just one gig with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that.
But I was getting old Scotty boy.
Now,
Yeah.
back in those times, I mean, it's not that long ago, but in that
Well,
era,
it
it's-
seems
it's-
like it's not,
Keeps
but it
getting
is.
further away.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like times pass, and it's like I'm thinking back to like, holy shit, we've been trucking, because it's like
Yeah.
I keep going, oh, it's not that long, and I
A
go,
lot has happened.
fuck, it is that
well,
long.
you guys,
Yeah.
I don't even know. You might be on one of these Jubilee things behind me. I don't know.
They might be. Well, I think we were playing late night stages the
Oh,
year
yeah.
that Big Sugar was there. I'm almost certain.
So
Yeah.
that same era would have been when Steve Ald and Matt were doing the Groove Back.
Well,
like
Groove Back was
Right.
just kind of not playing as much.
yeah.
Yeah, that was just kind of around the.
Because those
the
boys were
demise of the
rocking
band.
like when I was like 18. Because these guys are a couple years older than me.
Yeah.
So I kind of missed that stuff. So I'd never really seen them live.
Yeah, in my head,
Oh,
it's
that's
like
crazy.
thinking back, it kind of blends together when one band was around and the other. Like, I know some of you, so that's the only way I was able to keep
Yeah.
it apart. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, this, because you don't have the same sound, but there's similar blues and rock elements that are kind of interwoven there for both bands, right?
Yeah, we were a good match.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I mean, they're my favorite local band.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were
Groove Back
amazing.
is, they're the shit. Like, I think Steve's got an animal fucking, just a beastly voice. He's just an
Absolutely.
animal, right? Those guys are.
And now with those two and with both of yourselves, you all have your own solo things going on as well. So I probably hang around those guys a little bit more, so I maybe know their catalogs a little bit more, but I definitely see you guys performing around all the time, and I see that you're playing outside of Pictou County. Like, you're not just doing solo shows locally. Besides having StoneHouse, you have your own solo name out and around the province. Have you been outside Nova Scotia solo?
I did one in PEI.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was
But-
supposed to be the band. And
Yeah,
then I think
but
that was,
really,
I had
yeah.
COVID or something.
Yeah, but no, not really.
So now with a 3-person lineup, like Scott's not here tonight, it's hard to get everybody together at once. I understand why you'd have solo stuff going on, but how do you have a hard time, I guess, being able to book solo Pat shows and solo Mike shows, and then also still have room to do full Stonehouse shows?
Basically, just we're both so busy solo lately that all that really happens sometimes is like an October date will be brought up, and then either me or Mike will go, "Oh shit, I'm playing that day," or maybe I'll just move it into the next weekend. So it's not really like.
It hasn't conflicted. Anything.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really conflict, and it may look like more than. Well, I mean, we do play a lot,
Yeah.
but it might look like even more because we're both playing. It's like Stonehouse is being promoted, and you're being promoted solo, and I'm being promoted solo. But it's,
Yeah.
for some reason, to me, it doesn't seem like we're playing that much, but I think we are.
There
We're
is
playing
a
more
lot
than I'm
of
thinking. Yeah.
probably a good percentage of the bands that I've had on the podcast do have like a front person that also performs solo. But I can't think of too many. Like, I definitely know of bands where the backup band is comprised of people that are in like 4 or 5 different projects, especially people that are based in city areas. But it's kind of unique for you guys where you're a 3-piece and there's 2 solo people in it. So does Scott also have other musical stuff on the side, or he just has a more enriching personal life? Super insult on you guys, sorry.
No, Scott's like, I don't know. Scott's Stonehouse, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Scott's,
I don't think he'd be interested in being like a hired drummer or a session drummer. I don't think he'd be against it, but I think he's just more. It wouldn't even cross his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do either of you
Yeah.
either steal them just for your own solo gigs to have somebody
No.
there for percussion?
my solo gigs are basically just the Stonehouse originals spread out throughout cover songs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any like solo material that isn't Stonehouse.
Sure.
Like, so like my solo show is basically like dining rooms need 3-hour sets, so I take the hour worth of original music, spread it out with a bunch of covers, and that's Mike. Pat has like more of a solo show where you do your own music and do different stuff that you're not gonna know from the band, right? Like, but I'm not gonna pull any rabbits. Oh, it's a Mike solo song, right? Like, I don't have that.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I that's not something I'm interested in, is being like, I'm Mike the solo artist and I have a band. I just play solo shows for the band. I sing our songs and then and the Bare Naked Ladies, and I pack it up and head out,
Yeah.
right?
Everything you sing solo that's original
Is the band
played
song.
in Stonehouse.
And I wouldn't probably, if I might sneak a random one in if it happened, but it would be something I'd plan to take to the band. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have, there's no like Mike solo album with a different set of songs that has ever crossed my mind as like being in the works kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally
And Pat already kind of alluded that he came to the table with that itch to kind of reach outside of the band and do some other stuff as well. So you've been doing that right since day one, I imagine.
Doing solo stuff,
Yeah.
like my own. Yeah, I need to like whether it was just like this fun little recording project, recording songs, throwing them up on Bandcamp under a different name, or like I have all kind. I write a lot, right? And I think what I need to do is have like a good 8 to 10 song acoustic album, solo album, just so it's done, because I write it 8 to 10 songs every year and a half, and then they all kind of disappear and I almost forget about them, and they're good songs, right? And I kind of wish that I had have recorded them when they felt more alive to me, when that inspiration was more in the moment. So yeah, I'd like to. I think kind of what you see with like Adam Baldwin, how he has his own solo thing and he plays in Matt Mays. I think it's probably going to be similar to that dynamic. But yeah, I'd like to get my original stuff that I'm doing,
well
squeezing in and
interesting.
have a little EP or album.
When we
or
first
something.
started meeting musically, it wasn't as StoneHouse. I was in another band with Scott called Itchy Trick, and we did a different thing. And Pat, as a solo artist, was the opener all the time.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
used to play with him. Yeah.
Yeah, so he would open the shows doing his music, and we all knew his original music. So, like, even getting into the band, there was always it was just something that had existed before the band, right? Like you writing songs as a thing and like putting them out, like without anybody else even tied to the project, just you making a little drum beat and garage band, whatever it may be, like composing a full ripper or even just a one man kind of show. You were always kind of doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
It's always something.
Like you had 4 of those out before the band.
Yeah.
4 EPs,
Yeah, there's like
solo
4 to
EPs.
5 albums of just
Yeah.
like the description on Bandcamp is called just music made in my bedroom, because that's just what it is. I'm not trying to make a hit. There were just ideas. They came out. It was almost like painting a picture and setting it on the wall. I don't even know how to play them. I just kind of puked them out into GarageBand. They had some cool hooks. I'm proud of the lyrics in them. And
They're a good
that's
timestamp. Like if I'm listening to them, I can tell where you are.
Yeah.
Because I know the songs, right? I can tell, like, oh yeah, this is that time.
Yeah.
There's always a gem when you go through a collection like that too. Like
Yeah.
even if it's just a nostalgic thing for yourself.
Right back to the
Like there always is.
right back to the first ones, though.
Yeah, fill me
No,
in.
no,
and-
the fucking first ones.
Oh, like Shelter and
yeah,
stuff?
like but
yeah,
the recordings
yeah.
too. Like you had recordings back then. So
Yeah.
like in my head, like when we started the band, like there was already a physical copy of something that you had solo songs on. Like before I had, I hadn't even really thought about releasing something. I was so new to it. I was just rocking out. You had already kind of took on the artist thing, where I just kind of went into more of a performer, jammer thing, ripping with the boys. You were already kind of mentally like, oh, I write songs. I was still kind of participating in songs at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just kind of.
So did that first StoneHouse album, was that a lot of stuff that was written as the band was forming or came with the band as it was formed? Or was it something as you guys kind of all started collaborating, you put it together?
Before the songs that are on that first album, I would come to the band with a song that was finished beginning to end, like lyrics, riff, every note, and I would just like show the guys how to play it, and then we would play. Then Mike would write a song, whatever. But like I would have I'd have some songs just pre-worked out, finished, and we went through the motions doing that. But with the first album,
We did that for like that's kind of what got us going, though.
yes, the first
Because
album,
we did
it's
those
like
2 singles before that, and they were your songs, and that was kind of what got us going.
yeah.
You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
hearing ourselves go, okay, because the first album's written as a group, I would say.
It is, because that's even if I did do like a lot of writing on a particular song, it wasn't like something that I had from home and brought it. It was written in the room
Yeah.
together.
At that time, I feel like I was bringing a ton of just riff, nothing else.
Yeah,
This
a
thing
riff or a
and
hook
and
or a
just make the
chorus,
song
like
on
you
that.
like what's going on, for example, like you had the chorus, and then we kind of came up with what we were gonna do for the verse, and then I wrote the verses. Yeah, it's pretty collaborative,
And did you end up recording that yourselves, or did
No.
you had to go to a studio for that?
That was Shoebox Studios
That
when
was-
Shoebox Studios was out of Ian's garage.
Yeah,
We were the
back
first
in
ones through
Little
there,
Harbor?
I think, as a band.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain we were.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty. Like, I mean, now there's new stuff coming into there, but yeah, I don't know if yourselves, I guess, and Carol Brown would have had something way back. At that
Due East
studio
was the other
too.
project that happened out there, the Communes
Okay.
compilation
I have that
album.
sitting in one of these piles off to
yeah.
the
That
side
was the
here,
other
actually.
kind of project, I think, that happened out there.
And so I know that I definitely read you guys did some press in between your two albums, and you were reinvesting any money that the band was generating into being able to have a studio for yourselves at some point. So whatever happened with that whole situation, like, do you guys have that now?
Yeah, so everything, well, it was actually after the second, like we did the first two albums in studios.
Okay.
And then once COVID hit, that was kind of when we took our money, because we, as a band, have always just saved the money.
Mm-hmm.
So we've never left home with like, oh, let's split the cash, boys. So for 8 years or whatever, it's going in and out. And at this time, we had a tour booked for May, the year COVID hit, and we were going with a band called the Brad Milligan Band, and we had 2 weeks booked, all in Ontario and Quebec. It was all locked in, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So we had the tour funds, and instead of we said, well, let's just take that. We bought an
Sitting on money.
interface and the microphones, and then we bought all that stuff and turned the basement. So from then on, which is like bare bones and stuff, we didn't record ourselves, but the guy helped us do that. It was recorded in a barn.
Shout out to Randy Swallow.
Yeah, he kind of helped us. He kind of helped us get going and say like, you guys can do this, right?
Yeah.
And then, but everything from Holy Water on is in the basement. We did ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'd be the 4 singles there. Or we got a grant and went to Sonic Temple for Moment of Silence. So
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I
yeah,
did see
but
that.
the other ones are from home, and we have 2 other singles that we just wrapped up. We're just getting mixes back today that are also from home.
Awesome.
Lots, yeah. So lots of like from 2020 onwards,
Yeah.
a lot of home studio kind of stuff.
So now I have to dig right in on the new material then. Is there plans to release those as singles, or are you gearing up towards an album, collecting everything?
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be an EP. So these 2 new ones that we just got back are going to conclude 6 songs.
Yeah.
A 6-song EP. 4 of those songs were already released as singles. So these 2 new ones will kind of by default become singles, really.
Yeah.
We'll release it as an EP, but we'll also really give each song a real good push. Like it'll have like a month to 3 weeks of like promoting, whether there's a music video with it or a lyric video or just some artwork to go along with it. But yeah, 6-song EP with 2 new songs that nobody heard. And then shortly after that, shortly as in anywhere from like 3 to 4 months, we have a 4-song EP.
Which
That's
is
also coming.
which is the volume 2 to this. So the kind of
Yes.
concept we're in right now is we've got this volume 1, which is these 6 songs. And recently we kind of posted about it, but we went to the Sonic Temple again and we tracked bass and drums to 4 other new ones
Okay.
recently. And we kind of had some pictures up, and we've got a live off the floor video of one of them kind of loaded. So hopefully this year we'll have 2 EPs out. We will, you know.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is kind of a thing of jumping on here. I was hoping to kind of talk that we got new shit coming. So
Yeah,
that's a bonus.
awesome.
A lot of new stuff coming.
Yeah, a lot of new stuff. That's the thing. And to follow that, hopefully, now this is just pipe dream talking. I'm really pulling for vinyl at the end to kind of cap these 2 EPs. EPs off like a double vinyl as like to kind of finish out the year. So we finally have a hard copy as a 3-piece.
Yeah.
At these gigs. It's been a long time since we've had like merch you can listen to.
Yeah.
That represents us now because we've been kind of rebranding since COVID and
we've become what we are going to be.
Kind of removed. I feel like we kind of removed any boundaries and kind of redefined what we do. People kind of had a picture painted as a 4-piece of what we were.
Yeah.
And we're still all of that. Like if what you liked about that is maybe some of the rigidness or the edge to it, it's like when you come see us live, we're definitely still a fucking rock band. Yeah. But we also now have gotten in touch with like, getting older and writing songs about different things and telling more stories about life, maybe that you want to put your headphones in. Not all songs that are just written for the stage, right?
Yeah, the energy comes from the heart, right? Yeah. Rather than just to headbang and sweat, which is still on the stage.
Oh, it's still there. Yeah, we still definitely come with the same kind of. I don't know. We've always kind of brought the heat in our own way, right? That was kind of a thing.
Yeah,
we were energetic and excited to play together, and we always went hard, regardless of how many people were there. That was.
Yeah.
But, I remember when we switched to the 3, it seemed like people were kind of like, oh, I don't know, like, it's a little chill. Like, I remember showing people Holy Water after the second, like, album, and they were like, oh, I don't know, like, some of the old hardcore fans,
There's
right?
definitely a shift sound-wise, but to be fair, I mean, you mentioned Holy Water. When Holy Water was released, I wasn't doing the podcast at the time, so people I was around that would mention music, it was just general average people I run into the office or the grocery store, not necessarily people that follow the stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that song. Like it was on the radio all the time, and you'd see little plugs for it online, and like everybody was singing along if it was on the radio. Like everybody in that era that I was around knew that song.
That's awesome.
Like you could tell the shift was something that was definitely something the public was picking up on, that they liked listening to through the radio, which is kind of funny because you say that happens with every band, that your original fans, that when you shift, when you shift enough, and every band shifts a little bit as they grow, but when you shift just enough, your original fans start getting a little weary. But that's probably what it was. Yeah, it was that they're like, these are my boys that are always playing at these places that I hang out, and now the lame friends that they hang around that didn't like you like the new song.
Yeah,
so they're like, oh yeah, no, you guys suck now because my other friends like you.
It was this weird thing where they felt like they were going to lose the, they felt like. But when they started coming back out live, one dude in particular, right, that comes to mind when I think of this. He changed totally. He changed totally, and it was one of those things where he just had to see us play the song, because the song comes across maybe what you're hearing, you're interpreting you're feeling an energy, you're kind of thinking, oh, this is what it would look like. But when you come see us do it, it's still the same guys that put their foot through the stage and do the whole going hard playing that song. It's like it's still the same emotion. I'm still yelling out the same. So it was kind of the same where it was like, oh, it's
the delivery
still the same people, dog.
From,
like that was kind of, it was funny.
Like, we changed, but we didn't change. You know what I mean? It's coming from the same energy. Yeah,
that's what I mean, right? I feel like we're still kind of rocking out the same, leaning into the songs the same.
Yeah, like it's like the intensity of Holy Water in the most intense part is just as intense as the riff rock with the guitar solo where we're jumping.
Because people don't understand, like from the heaviest song we play to the chillest one, like I don't turn anything up or down. I only have one dirt pedal. So the same distortion in Money Well Spent or these countries is the same distortion in Helter Skelter. It's just delivery and how you're seeing it ripped. Yeah. So it's not really a sonic thing. And I've never changed, like nothing's changed, like the dirt, I didn't go, oh, we're playing this chill, I better dial. It's just the same sounds, kind of. It's funny. It's just it kind of.
So with both of you doing a lot of solo stuff as well, have you found that over the last couple years that your stage presence has shifted at all? Because if you're used to being with a full band on the stage, you have a limited amount of stage to actually command. And then when you're solo, you're the only thing up there to keep people entertained. So one thing, I don't know, I would be curious from both of you, your own experiences and perspective on that. But one thing that I notice from watching people just as a fan, I find that when people are going out and doing solo shows, when they come back to play with the full band, that banter with the audience is really strong. And it doesn't isolate them from the band. It brings it to the full band, but it brings a connection from the floor back right up onto the stage. And sometimes it's not always there. I know you guys would be a little different because good old Pictou County band, you had fans around here and you're interacting with people that you know in the crowd right since the early days.
Yeah.
But do you notice any difference now playing with StoneHouse that you've been doing a lot of solo shows? Is it any different, or were you always like that?
I've only been doing the solo one since last September. And yeah, for me, it was, if I'm being honest, it was kind of, we had the baby, the woman's going off work. I just do it for the cash. I'm out there dining room hopping for the money. You watching people camera. I'm coming for your money, motherfuckers.
It keeps you from getting rusty.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
the
for
man.
me, what it did was I learned a bunch of like guilty pleasure kind of silly covers, and I really pushed my voice. And now, coming out of learning 60, 70 of these kind of, some of them silly, some of them genre hopping, you know, they're all over the place. I feel like I'm a much stronger singer. It hasn't really changed anything to the band. I don't feel like I don't know. I don't know how to explain the band. I feel like my eyes are shut 90% of the time I'm playing anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm playing for these guys and with these guys. The crowd, as much as I enjoy ripping crowd, it's like our jams are very similar to our shows when we get them rolling like that.
Yeah.
It's
In stage presence as a thing, and I think we're similar. It's not something that we are, definitely not something that we're aware of.
No.
It's more of something that you're channeling through and let the music take you where you're gonna go with your movement and how you interact with who's watching and listening. Because I would, like, my mom's an entertainer, and she said, especially with solo, like, get your head up, engage with the audience, like, look at people when you're singing, like, that's a connection. And I tried that a few times, and I still feel the pressure of like, oh, should I be more engaging? Should I be more head up and looking when I'm singing? But if that feels phony to me, people will know that I'm being phony. People can feel things that are not authentic and not honest. So like you're saying, like, I've, especially in the last year, I kind of like look at the floor. And I just kind of turn that off, and I turn the audience off, and I go, I'm going to sing every single note of this song the absolute best I can, from my soul, and everything else is just kind of secondary. And then with that, I'm looking at the floor, but I'm grooving, and I'm sweating, and I'm really getting into it, and that's kind of what stage presence is to us. I think it's not something that we practice as, like, some people are dramatic actors. Like, we've played with the band before. The guy was literally an actor, and part of his lead, his singing, part of his frontmanship was acting and being theatrical, right? So yeah, I don't think it's something that we're aware of stage presence wise. I think we try to be as natural and as real as possible, and it comes out as us rocking out or not, staying completely still and closing our eyes or looking at the floor. But when it comes to what we got better at, I would say singing. I'd say I've improved vocally a lot from being able to, like, go out and maybe it's a venue where there's people 30 feet away from me at tables, so I feel like I can crank it and really fill my voice, fill the room with my voice. Or maybe it's a smaller venue and people are kind of more focused on watching a game and eating chicken wings. They're sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
So you kind of gauge these different ways of, okay, I'm not going to be too overbearing here, but I still have to deliver, or I got to be a little bit more loud in this room. Just different gears you get used to, and I think a lot of that solo-wise has improved my voice vocally for harmonies with the band, for sure.
And with both of you playing.
I got to be a little bit more loud in this room, just different gears you get used to. And I think a lot of that solo wise has improved my voice vocally for harmonies with the band for sure.
And with both of you playing different venues than maybe where StoneHouse has played, do you find the audience, like, is for a lot of those type of shows, they're mostly, it doesn't matter where you're playing or who you are, it's locals that happen to frequent that establishment. It'd be similar to here with Shoebox. There's definitely shows that people travel here to see, but they're not the regular shows. Like there's shows there all the time, so there's a lot of regulars that just go to Shoebox to see shows.
That's why I started poking into towns outside of Pictou County as frequently, because as a band, we've been doing it a while, and, you know, there's certain spots we have great, strong draws, and there's a couple spots like Truro and Antigonish that are very close to home that we had struggled to find original bands with over the years, especially when we first started, but recently it seems like there's a few, especially in Antigonish. And so it was kind of a thing, a mission of mine to go in, the solo thing, was to just be in these restaurants where I'm going to meet the 50, 60, 70 people that are all there versus let's book, you know, the original venue, have maybe no local support if we can't find it. No one's going to come to the show, right? Because they don't know what's happening. But if I can start to meet them in the dining rooms, it's going to help build the name in these little areas a little bit more. And I do find it helped this year.
There's like a strategy to it, yeah.
You know, especially with Antigonish and Truro, it was like a real mission to get in there over at least once a month and just prod. StoneHouse solo, catch me solo. And I'm meeting so many locals because of the show it is.
Yeah.
And like I don't necessarily do the exact same thing as Pat, where it's like you'll do like a set where it's a little bit like, let's keep it like chill and play to the crowd sometimes more. I'm not maybe that type of musician. It's not necessarily my strong suit to like adapt in those ways. So it's like I kind of, you know, try to find a nice level and do me. I've been getting better at like just, I might not even say who I am. I might just be there singing for a while, right? And trying to be a little bit more in the background. But by just doing this, I've been finding it's been helping me to, a handful of people at each time where I'm like, yeah, I play in this band. They're like, oh shit, I love these songs you're doing. And then by the end of the set, maybe they want to hear one of my own, or they leave and I see that they followed us on Instagram. And
every time you play a show outside of town, I always see the TikTok and the Instagram followers go up by like 5 or 6.
Yeah, and I'm making a point to like talk to them, go follow me on Instagram, check it if you liked it. Like, I'm kind of that's kind of the mission of it, right? It's like,
so that's similar to what I do for this. Yeah, is that like you've seen me out there? Like, and anybody watching this, they're probably watching it because I approached them at a show and said, "Hey, I have a show."
It's very boot-laced, man. Like, like that's kind of, I don't know. That's all I'm good at.
Well, the word of mouth,
the boots and putting the.
It's really weird that word of mouth trumps the digital. Like, you need the word of mouth to support the digital growth. Like, the digital growth on itself isn't just gonna happen. But when you get that word of mouth, people are like, "Oh, maybe I'll check this out." Like,
not in all genres too. Funny. Like I find with being like a rock band, you know, like there's some of our fans are honestly in their 50s. Like we have some young fans. A lot of them are our age because that's kind of who the music's geared towards. But we have a lot of fans that are older and they're like love the throwback kind of feel to some of it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some people that are never on Facebook or whatever and only are going to their regular spot and looking forward till we come back to the Blunt Bartender because they, you know, that's a thing too. It's something that doesn't get noticed a lot online, but that's a thing in this genre of music is that there is a niche crowd that maybe isn't even in that realm. So playing live is important as a kind of bluesy rock band. You know, like it really, like the word of mouth. It's really important for that genre of music. I find.
Oh yeah.
Because you know some pop stuff doesn't necessarily. They don't maybe perform every Friday and Saturday because they have backing tracks and it's a whole.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, someone who can grab a guitar and like do that. It's a totally different thing. So it kind of
It's I've said with some people on this show that, I mean, I put myself in this case in with a lot of the pop musicians as far as how to maintain any type of audience.
Yep.
that the online part, everybody has their 15 minutes of fame, but you need to do another 15 minutes of fame to keep it maintained.
That's
like
it.
you got to keep doing
yeah,
it.
man.
Consistency online.
But I do see that with bands like yourselves that are maybe not necessarily that pop genre that's going to get thousands of clicks just because of the song.
Yeah.
That people are looking for that energy of the live set, and they're looking for that more classic sound. There's something that's reminding them what they used to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
So you do need to hustle and keep your name out there so they
Yeah.
know that you are still out there playing live, so they know that, you must have new stuff if you're still out there playing live, or there's something relevant happening, so they know to keep up with it and not just fall back onto whenever you're on the radio or just listening to you on Spotify.
Yeah, I find personally I suck at wanting to keep up with I love going playing constantly, right? Like as much as I love releasing music, I wish it could just happen, because I'd rather just fucking if we could gig every night, I'd never stop booking bullshit gigs.
Yeah.
I'd play to no one everywhere. You know that. I would never
yeah.
stop. Like you'd have
yeah.
to put a leash on me. Like, Mike, we don't need to play Wednesdays to nobody. Like, man, just play.
Yeah.
I just love ripping gigs with these guys. So like,
Yeah.
for me this year, I really want to make a point, like personally, like I even fucking wrote it down. Like I want to dedicate more time to releasing our stuff, and I want to get back to doing my cover. I was putting these cover videos out every week.
Yeah.
And they, Happy Friday, and I'd sing a new song, and maybe I don't remember the song the next day, but I'd be reading it and get it done. It was something to follow and look for, and I want to get back to even being a little bit more serious on social media, aside from just a picture and a post.
Yeah.
And get more in there again, because
We're in a bit of a dormant phase between like doing the recording thing, like recording a few tunes and waiting for the tunes to come back and hitting Sonic Temple and whatnot. So it's like the buzz that's on our page, like our online presence, is really kind of just the solo gigs, really, and the odd festival gig. And it's
This
kind of
summer-
funny because like that's what like the questions are about, which is interesting too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what people are seeing. But we're gonna the buzz is definitely gonna switch to the releases and new music, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
right? Cause,
yeah.
because then you have the Friday covers that come up. I like taking clips and putting them all over the reels and TikTok and everything. Like the page is going to become much more alive than it has been since the last release, since Moment of Silence.
and I don't think it's funny, because I know I've been playing a ton of these solo gigs, but up until July, we played twice a month as a band every month this year. Like
did we?
We played 27 shows as a band this year. I
It
counted.
doesn't feel like that at all.
Right? So it's like this whole like, oh, it's all solo. It's like, no, there's 10 solo gigs a month.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
There is 10, but we played Fredericton 5 times. We were to PEI 4 times, and we put in a ton of road work because of COVID. We never got to tour Holy Water and Honeybee, and we never got to do that. So it was kind of, I feel like we tightened back up out there this year, and it made good for these festivals. And like, I feel like we really killed our chance to showcase as a band. They get to see those songs. But yeah, I'm so glad to reel back on that thing and put out a ton of stuff and let everyone kind of know, like, oh shit, there's new music.
Releases are coming.
New friggin' music.
And for it to make sense to the to our audience, not just our audience and our fans, but like the new fans, right? Like we're gonna take the first 2 albums down, because it's basically a different band. We might as well have. We could have been a band that changed our name, right, by going to a 3-piece with the Holy Water sound, and after that, so we're gonna take those 2 albums, keep them on Bandcamp for the diehard fans, right? And yeah, it's gonna feel very satisfying for us to have just the volume 1, the volume 2, right? This is our EP. This is who we are. This is who we have been the last couple of years, but this is who we are as a package.
Just
And
like
I
a
think-
clean slate jumping off point. And
Yeah,
Exactly.
we talked about this
Yeah.
in 2020 with
Yeah.
Holy Water. We talked about removing the first 2 albums, but at the time we had nothing. No,
Yeah, it
So
was
I was
just
like,
the one.
shit,
Yeah.
better leave that.
And now we have
you
2
know?
singles, and we're like, should we remove everything now?
You
and
know,
only
so
have
it's-
2 songs?
We've
on
been thinking
Spotify?
about it a long time, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of bands go through that, you know.
Oh,
It
absolutely. I've
takes
seen it,
almost
especially
a decade.
at the level where the majority of the bands are that I interview. There's a lot of up and coming bands, but a lot of them are reconfigurations of older bands.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, it does happen quite frequently.
Yeah.
So do you guys, like, I know you mentioned like you did play a lot of live shows this year, and we're like just kind of coming to the end of a pretty heavy festival season with the summer. Do you have some StoneHouse tour type thing planned to support new material?
Well,
Or is it a little too early?
well, it's not too early. Like right now, we're working on a couple things. We have an October date in Antigonish. We're kind of waiting to see when we can release this, right? When it's actually going to drop. But I feel like there's a few things coming up that are kind of like events we're getting attached to.
Yeah.
That aren't necessarily StoneHouse shows, but they want us to play this and want us to play that. So that's kind of, it's kind of cool in this limbo, because it's like because if we were to book another show at Shoebox, say, with nothing behind it, it's just StoneHouse. It's like we're not doing that until we have a song or a release.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, but there is some stuff. Like, I'm hoping we can get this EP out September, October.
Yeah.
You know, and then into November, man, I can see us ripping, because there's some potential. I'm not going to say too much, but there's some potential funding for us to rip a decent road trip again.
Yeah.
And if we just get our ducks in a row and our plan is, I see a good run of gigs coming.
Yeah, there'll be
releases.
something, whether it's like one of those tours that are like every Saturday of a month in a different place. But you never know. We might have 2 or 3 days. Like I'll like make a long weekend out of it or something to like Montreal and back, or even Ontario. Who fuck knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It all depends on how much what we get for funds, or how realistic it's really going to look once we crunch the numbers. But definitely, we're going to be
I've got
hitting some spots.
Definitely.
Oh,
There'll be something that's pushed and marketed as like a tour.
Yeah.
With these songs, like there will be, whether it's stretched out over 2 months on just like Saturdays, there will be spots, and we'll be getting back to everywhere that we need to get back to.
And I know there is a ton of band, like you mentioned Antigonish a couple times, and like Truro as well. Like there's venues were popping up a lot over the last year, but it seems like the last 6 months bands are popping up to fill the venues.
Right?
Bands are popping up,
which is great.
Yeah, like
Bands
when
are
we first
popping up.
started, we were talking about this the other day. How like Grooveback was kind of just dying out or breaking up, not playing as much, and it was really almost like just us as like a rock band, and like forget about Churro, forget about Antigonish, and now it's like Piner coming out of Antigonish, which is like, I love Piner. I think they're amazing. Landon Morris's band, Gardner. Like there's like these young indie artists like coming out of like Churro and Antigonish, and so much music here. Pictou County's insane. Like, dare I say, one of the most thriving towns in Nova Scotia for a small town, music-wise, per capita.
It's amazing. I mean, Pictou County, ourselves, we're all in the same boat. We're all from here. We know that there's music everywhere here.
Yeah.
Even when there's no venues, we know that the musicians are all here. And like I said, with reconfigurations of bands, a lot of the bands that are out there are musicians that have been playing around here for a long time with somebody at some point.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, I know COVID, nobody likes talking about it, but like all the bands that were semi-defunct really tightened up their stuff and they've come back. And there's so many new bands that have come out, but it's really weird that this past 6 months, it really seems like there's a ton of bands in those Truro and Antigonish areas. Like it does seem like it's not just Cape Breton, Pictou County, and then Halifax. Like I've been hearing a lot of scenes from a lot of small communities all over
there's
the place.
bands everywhere.
It's just it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, there was only the taverns here when we started playing. It was
Yeah,
you
and
play
he
the
was,
Whitetail or the Highlander.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I was saying. There's some local bands coming up now that are young guns, and it's like, what a time.
Yeah.
You got a fucking bar downtown that hosts original music. They even do Mondays. They got a studio
Yeah, they
upstairs.
got a
There's 3 or 4 studios
full
in town.
PA with a sound guy, and they'll run the
You
door
know,
for you. And like, it's just like people don't. Well, I hope they understand. People understand just how much of a gem.
Yeah, you can't
that
like
venue is.
Well, and I don't think they would understand because they
don't know the
hadn't come out
difference.
and played where it was just the tavern that said we want you 10 to 2. I don't give a fuck. 10 to 2. Play the same songs over. I don't care. 10 to 2. That's the agreement.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we only play an hour set.
Yeah,
It's like that doesn't exist. That's
Yeah.
not real. It's like, what are you doing?
Fucking with a mixer that's dripping water from.
Yeah, like these tab. It wasn't the same. It wasn't right. It was a different thing, and I feel like that kind of also, I don't know, made the approach early on was different. Like before StoneHouse, it was a band Itchy Trick, and it was mostly a cover band with a few originals, right? Mm-hmm. And the approach was so different because I'd say there was pay because it was a cover band type thing. So right out of the gate, there was like this thing where it's like, oh, there's $500 for this night. And you're like, holy crap. But then we switched to StoneHouse, and now we're doing 45-minute sets where
all original.
And you're getting the door deals and the whole. It just had shifted in an odd way coming from, playing the 2 taverns locally.
Yeah.
You need fucking 4 hours. Like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. Trying to cover time or get an opening act, but there was no other bands. That's the thing. There was Lee and Kyle. That was our saving fucking grace early on.
Yeah.
Thank God that they existed.
Yeah, and
because they could kill it doing a couple originals at the time. I think mostly
time.
covers, but man, she could sing, he could play, and we played similar-ish stuff.
They had a bunch of buddies that would come out and
thank fuck they existed.
Yeah, they were perfect.
Would have been a lonely time.
They will be on. They will be on here soon enough. There were another group from Pictou County that like just even those
Sweet
2.
Serene,
but Sweet Serene we're gonna have on. But even those 2.
Yeah,
I've had Leah on with Andre for one of our live performances, and I've had Leah and Kyle on, and then I've had Sweet Serene on. So people know who they are that watch the show, but I've never had them on. So anyone that's watching this that hears their name yet again, they are going to be on in the fairly near future. I just have yet to record it, so it will be happening.
Days, bud.
Fucking. So we don't have any actual release date yet, but we're looking at fall. So
yeah. Like I'm looking at as soon as possible. These things are so close to done. Like a couple more notes. It's like just as soon as possible.
Yeah, you gotta put it into the
I wrote it on
Spotify
Looseleaf,
gods.
I wrote that shit on Looseleaf. I wrote get this shit out.
Yeah.
I wrote dash start fucking cover videos exclamation point. I wrote this shit on paper and stamped it on that fucking board. I'm looking at it I'm like you're getting this shit out.
The vision board,
man.
Is
well,
real.
it was one of those things. Like it's. I don't know. You mentioned something earlier about like I know it's hard to get together, but we're actually together every week.
Yeah.
We practice every week.
Yeah.
Up until this past year, where I had a baby, you switched careers. Yeah. Scott got married and changed jobs. It has a little bit more traveling, so he's not home until probably now. Mm-hmm. We were together twice a week, every week, the whole time. And the only reason it would be hard to get in
twice a week practices,
not mentioning the gigs, right? And we played. So when the hardest thing for us to get in would be like, oh, we're good Tuesday. I'd be like, well, that's our jam day. Fuck, we can't go. Yeah. So I would not do the podcast because it was our only jam day. Yeah. It wasn't that it was hard to get together. It was like, fuck, practicing rules over top. Right now we're in this weird limbo phase. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, this is the perfect time.
Yeah.
You know, because that was the thing, like practicing and staying, tight, whatever, has always ranked as the most important
thing.
Yeah. We stay together practicing in the jam room. Everything else seems to continue to roll.
Yep.
It's like
because you're always
one
prepared.
Foot goes ahead of the other. We'll just keep happening. It's like if we stop and we go, oh, let's focus on this. We'll go into the studio for 5 months. We have to be getting together in the flesh, playing our instruments to just create. I don't know. Things just seem
the
to
studio
happen.
is always a quick trip.
Yeah, because
because those 2 days a week
they're vital.
If I'd have any advice for anybody, it's to, if you're really trying to make a go of it, it's practice twice a week if possible, and save all your money into a band account. Mm-hmm. Don't pay out a single penny, because we were lucky from the get-go, we had a pretty good audience here and had some pretty successful shows, people-wise. We were sitting on cash. So every tour that we went on, we never lost money out of our pockets that we made from a paycheck.
Everything's been funded.
We are we sustain ourselves.
And fuck, we made 3 fucking good. We used to do, like, in 17, 18, and 19, we did 2-week runs through Quebec and Ontario every year with a release of something or nothing.
Or nothing
and
at all.
And even in 2019, we went with nothing. We went as a 3-piece. It was our first tour as a 3-piece. We just said, fuck it, we'll tour nothing. Just go play the gigs and get out to these cities and fucking get out and do it. Thankfully, because we haven't been able to do it since, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Made some diehard fans too.
Yeah, doing that kind of stuff. Like, we've always been kind of, I don't know, road warriors.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that was funny.
We don't have fucking I don't know, our online presence and our recordings. I don't feel like, even to date, as much as they do, I still feel like nothing does us justice to the work we put in the practice room. Like, we're still trying to figure out how to get our sound perfect and get our, recordings the way we want. Because I feel like there's something in the jam room sometimes, an energy that, it's hard to translate.
Yeah.
We're getting better at it all the time recording, but it's still hard.
Yeah.
We've always been a better live band than anything
I think
else.
so. Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting close. Like, I mean, since Holy Water.
We are getting closer.
On, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, we are getting closer, but it's still like a thing where.
Well, it's tough because, like, our mixing guy is amazing, but he's not at the shows.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
and when are
to
they?
link those two together.
That's the other thing. It's like, when are those guys at the? It's hard to. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
Any of them at the shows,
with making a killer album or a killer record, and there's so many pieces to the puzzle, and we're like, we kind of DIY and look to each other more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So we just navigate it at our own pace, kind of. That's kind of, I guess. But yeah, it's getting those recordings to match that jam room energy and tightness and dynamics has always been like a, I would call it not a struggle where anyone's thinking about it.
Just kind of a goal that you're always
it's like
reaching for.
because there's always something.
It's the carrot that you've been reaching
It's
for.
the carrot. It's the dangling carrot.
Like you get into recording something and you're multi-tracking it. Now Scott's playing it to a click, and there's just dynamic things where it's like if we were all doing it together, we'd all smash that a little harder.
Yeah.
And those little things where it's like, and there's no way to fucking. The studio isn't the jam room. There's more. You're thinking. You're doing. I'm going fuck. Like, I can't record guitar in a studio, man. I fucking takes me forever. I'm glad to do it at home. Like
same with vocals for me.
Like, I can sing in the studio. I can't. The guitar, man. Oh, I'd be there for days.
That's the same with, or I just won't be happy with it if I land on something. I can be in the Sonic Temple singing, but like it's just if I'm comfortable, if I'm in the basement, if I'm on the microphone right here, Mike is right there with the laptop, and I go, no, stop, do it again, go back, and we even have like a science figured out, right? Like I'll sing it and then I'll double track it and then we delete the first one and then we double track and then we have like these little motions. Just this. We got it down to a science, really. Yeah, recorded stuff.
Where do people go online to follow you? Like, do you just send them to stonehouse.ca?
We don't have a website.
We don't have a website. I feel like the websites are. I mean, I say this, and somebody out there is probably like, "Oh, the website." But like, I feel like Linktree is almost like, what's the point in having a website?
The only thing I'd like a website.
Now, yeah.
The only thing I'd like a website for would be like a merch store.
Yeah,
Just a place, just a site with little updates where you could get the merch and it can somehow fucking be a store. I have no idea how to do that, but that'd be the only way I would see it.
Yeah,
being a thing, right? Because
I see some merch stores.
I push people
Facebook too.
I push people to the Facebook, and if I'm on the road playing, I push them to the Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram is big.
I go Instagram when I'm playing younger people. Always Instagram. Because always to the Instagram.
Instagram was not in my life until I started doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And when I was networking with people, I'm like, well, I can't talk to musicians unless I have Instagram. Like, I have to learn this.
I don't use Twitter and I don't use TikTok on my phone. I had a TikTok on my old phone. I just never downloaded it on this one.
I keep TikTok and Twitter updated just on releases.
Yeah.
I just make sure it's all across all platforms. We have like TikTok is, I mean, I guess because it's a popular app, but like every time you play away, there's 3 or 4 followers, like real people, not just like bots and stuff, right? And we just have funny clips of like Weatherman Scotty was a thing that we would do, and we're out on the road, and Scott's like almost like
from
a
the
character
field,
out of the Trailer Park Boys or something, right? Like hangs his head out of the window, and we're going down the highway. Oh my God! Yeah.
To me, Scott is like a fucking personality vibe glue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we were doing the band, like I felt like if it was, I don't know, like this would be like a very big statement, but I don't know if I'll play with anyone other than Scott. Like I don't think you'll ever see me in like local bands jumping around doing different things. I don't think you will ever see that.
No, you definitely won't.
That's never going to be, No, I don't think ever. Maybe that's a big thing. Maybe there's some cool thing, but I don't think ever. And I don't think that, like, I don't know. Scott's just like when I think of myself playing, because I didn't start really going until after high school. I was kind of late, and I've never played gigs really without him. Mm-hmm. And even when I'm solo and stuff and whatever, I don't know. It's like it's just that he's the glue to me. Like when it comes to music, I'm just very. When I have him doing his thing, I've always felt like I could be me with him in the band.
Yeah.
I always felt like if Scott was there, I could 100% be me, and I won't be held accountable for it in a negative light.
Yeah.
If it was someone else, I'd feel outnumbered in a sense and be like, "Fuck, I gotta shell this down." And I'm glad that wasn't the case, especially when we were starting out, because I felt like I need to get some of that out of my system early on.
Yeah.
To kind of I don't know. Like Scott's definitely that's how I feel about him anyway, right? Like
and me, you guys were so glued and locked in from Itchy Trick, the band before, too, that once Scott was in the band, I found it entertaining watching them play together, because they would have you would have signals, unspoken signals.
Man, I'm just
while you're
smiling
playing.
because I just love Scott.
Yeah.
Like I'm smiling because I love that guy.
He's the man.
Yeah,
he's
like
our Scotty man.
He's a good. We've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
It's one of those things. That's how I see it anyway. Like
yeah.
I get up there and it's like, just it gives you. Do you know what I mean? Like he backs your personality.
100%.
Like if you want to be silly and you're being silly, he's like, let's get silly, man. If you want to be serious, he's serious. If you want to be whatever, he can be that. And while still being him, I just feel like it makes a difference when you turn back on stage and it's him looking at you.
Yeah.
There's no stress with him there.
No.
He's not giving you any sort of like he doesn't have it, or like he comes across as like my biggest fan. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? Like the guy is he loves his songs. He's like, like I don't think of him as a guy who's gonna go drum with other bands. I just think he's a StoneHouse fucking fan. He rips our tunes.
Got it in his blood now.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like that's how he views it. He's just like
I think so. Yeah.
Because that's how I kind of I don't know, man.
Yeah, same way for you. Like with your vibe, not having, you would just have no need to go play with some other group or some other drummer to back you up or whatever. Like it wouldn't cross your mind, and that just doesn't cross Scott's mind. It's just like it wouldn't even be a discussion,
We're not that type of musicians.
Yeah.
We're not that type of musicians. There's lots of them that are, man. There are a lot of guys that are way better than me and Scott at doing that stuff. Mm-hmm. We're not fucking, and I'll speak on his behalf too. We're not good at doing that stuff. We're not good at being things outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And especially in an original-ish setting. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a good enough guitar player to go fucking sit in and be someone different than just sounding like me.
Yeah.
And I feel the same for him. It's like he wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm going to do this fucking reggae group because I like." It's like, "No, we only know how to play the fucking one way, me and him."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it is kind of what it is, and we're just getting better as we go.
Well, that's what I was talking to a bass player that was singing harmony with Joey Taylor down in Halifax, and Joey was like, "Yeah, this guy's an awesome bass player," and we were chatting, and they were bragging me up, right?
Yeah.
This guy was like, "Man, like I want to sit down with you, and I'm gonna learn from you. Like maybe you can teach me some things." And I'm like, "Fuck, man, people got it wrong. Like I'm not like this crazy. Like I'll rip a solo out of my like I don't know. I was never all about like I was never like a real technique guy. I was never a by the book guy. I've been playing so long. I just play how I play. I don't, and I play improper too. Like I play like there's a flaw. There's many flaws behind my techniques, but it's what makes me, right? But it was funny talking to this guy because I kept trying to tell him, I'm like, I'm not like the bass player you think I am. Like I'm a bass player for a band, and I'm more of a songwriter even through my bass than I am ever. I'm not even interested in talking about technique. I'm not even interested in talking about theory and stuff like that. Like it's interesting sometimes if you bring something, you're like, oh, I've been learning something, this chord's cool. I'm like, that is cool, but it's only interesting because we're gonna use it.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But like just to I don't know. It's like talking about cars or something. I don't know shit about cars, and not knocking anybody that likes it, but it's like I just zone out when people start talking about technique this and that, and you get into gear and whatnot. It's like I like what I like, I do what I do, and what I do is I write songs in a band, and that's the whole purpose, is to make the best song possible, and everything else is just kind of second nature. But yeah, it's funny to think of. We're all we almost look better individually because we play with each other, if that makes sense.
Oh, like I feel like having the band makes people think I'm better at guitar.
That's where I'm. Yeah,
you just kind of
like
you're spotlighting each other.
It's comical. Like to me, it's comical. Like how much better most of these other guys are. Than me. I find it comical, right? But with the band, I get to you get this thing, and I'm good at doing the things I do, right? It's very, in my opinion, I repeat the same shit. I only know what I know, right? But yeah, you boys, oh man, that was fucking ripping. And it's like, no, it wasn't. It's like I've been ripping the same lick, and every one of these tunes is in a different. Like it's hard to explain, but it's like I just see, because of being able to see technique. So you can see guys doing things. Like there's a lot of local players that I just feel like, I'm like, whoa, this guy's good. Like guys like Kyle. Kyle's great. Samson.
Oh yeah,
Kyle's
great.
Kyle can play tons of shit. He's, and now maybe when we get ripping our stage show, maybe I'm playing the guitar differently. Maybe I'm delivering the guitar as an instrument to their ears differently.
Kyle makes it look easy,
and maybe Kyle's got a laid back kind of
he does.
And I'm
make
doing
it,
and so that gets the message across like differently to people. But like knowing what I know about the instrument I'm watching, I was like, these guys are fucking. These guys are steps ahead of me on the instrument, right?
Very much a band thing and a dynamic thing, because like in our song, if you feel like it's this riff rock and blues rock song, and at the end of it you take solos, I take solos, but the most intense part of that song is when we play together and we're literally just playing one note. Two. Yeah. We just go and I climb up a little bit.
I do too. Or I'll go the other way, but
yeah, and that's like
just
the most intense part of the solo is just like this, but it works.
I feel like it's the in the moment feel of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's tons of guys like that watching from the outside, I'm like, holy shit. Like, if it was like, that was a big thing why I didn't like doing solo gigs. I'd never really thought about it too, is because it's like I didn't feel like I could carry 4 hours on a fucking guitar.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not that, I can strum the songs, but I can only play the fucking, the basic chords at the time. And like, I mean, I can do stuff now. I'm kind of maybe even downplaying it, because I can definitely play the guitar. But that was a thing. It's like, you're seeing these guys. I can't carry a tune like that. Like, I can't fucking finger pick. I can't hardly even pick. Like, that's just not the thing. I was always just singing and there was another guitar player, you know, I'd be doing this and he'd be covering the thing. I just hit the chorus or whatever.
and
I had a lot of
mesh-
places to hide, man, on my instrument for years.
And for other people that are shredders, like, not to knock people, like, but like, you could be technically really, really good, but meshing with a band is a whole skill in and of itself, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
we
you can
just
be-
talked about this on probably the last episode to this one for people that are watching it with Absolute Losers about lineups. You can tell when the bands like each other. Like when there's bands that are playing together, you can see it on stage within a band. Like, and you guys, that's exactly what you're explaining. That you have your own interpersonal connections that is definitely visible on stage. But you can see that throughout a lineup sometimes. And I mean, obviously, once again, we're in Pictou County, and we've mentioned other Pictou County artists. That happens a lot around here because we do all know each other. So there is that organic kind of feel to it. But it's really important to carry that everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are probably with the new material, you're going to be doing that a lot wider reach than what you've done historically, like pre-COVID, or with the older configuration of the band.
Yeah.
So do you lyrically approach it different now? Like, you guys both have got into quite a bit of feelings about how you feel about the band, so I can't peg between the two of you where the lyrics are coming from.
On the newer songs, a lot of them were like my songs, the newer ones, and they're just like, I just started writing songs that have they're a story, like they have a fucking something to say. They're all kind of relevant to my life at the time, right? I know exactly what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, where before, when I was writing lyrics, it wasn't necessarily that way. Be like, ooh, baby,
whatever
wanna get
kinda
on
sounds
up, fucking
cool.
get on down, gonna
Yeah.
kick it around. That was it, right? I would sometimes we'd be in the studio and there would be no lyric, and I would just make something up.
Yeah.
Because it was more about the attitude, right? So now it's like I take it a lot more serious. It's like I'm having actually a struggle almost at home writing lyrics because I'm scrapping a lot of stuff that isn't I don't know, telling the tale the way I want, or direct enough, or open enough. I've been scrapping a lot. I have a lot of things that go to nothing, and lately I haven't been able to like lock down a full tune that I feel like is a band quality tune. They're just kind of things, and I might come back to them. But I've been taking the lyrics way more serious. You always kind of thought about it in a different light on your own music anyway.
I definitely had the phase of, like, especially the Bandcamp tunes, it's kind of like whatever comes out that kind of sounds cool. Not a thought behind a theme for the whole song beginning to end. But then once you finish the song, you go, okay, it all kind of makes sense. It has this vibe. But say for like Life Goes, one of our new ones, like you're literally writing about when you knew you were going to have a daughter.
Yeah.
Like Denim Blues is
From
literally
Bare
about-
Bones. That was the one.
Yeah.
That's a song that's very specific. It's
Yeah.
and then from then on, and I feel like a big part of that was you guys showing more interest in it.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, that's cool. Oh, more interest. And it's like, oh, see, then you want to write more like that, and then
Push Me Around was a cool one.
Yeah, that kind of that's where it began, right? But the last ones, it's just direct. I started with a subject, right, and that's kind of.
I've been writing that on solo acoustic stuff lately too. Much more about like this is exactly about this.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I've been trying to do that.
Yeah,
it's like that's the lyrics. I just found like it's like I just turned 30 this year, like just fucking July 31st. And just the last little bit, as things were changing, it's like, I don't know, I just had more thoughts. I've lost some friends. I have a buddy right now who's up in the hospital battling cancer. He's only 30, he was home for a week and he's back up, and there's just lots going on to write about. I feel like right now some of these things in my life haven't played themselves out long enough for me to finish the story. So I've been in this thing where I'm like, I want to write about being a dad, but I'm like, I still don't know how to finish it. How do I write about being a dad when I'm still just being a dad, right? So I get in and I'm kind of, turn the page, I'll move on. So I haven't been able to finish my ideas lately because I feel like I'm still in them. I feel like I'm still living some of the subject matter that I want to write about, right?
Yeah.
So I've been struggling with that because I've been taking the lyrics more seriously. I've been almost fucking choking myself off a little bit. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, right? But it's,
that's a neat way to think of it rather than writer's block, to think of it like, okay, I just need to wait.
Well, that's what I've been feeling like.
And then it'll
it's like
conclude.
I've been trying to write music about Chris and different things to try to feel out the experience and see what comes of it, right? Because it's like once I get going on that, if I can find the right music to match it and get rolling, it's like I feel like, yeah, I'll be able to deliver this story and really fucking people will feel this, like, because I'm feeling it, right? But I get so far into this thing and I'm like, ugh, I haven't been able to fucking, that's been like, I'd say about 2 or 3 months.
Which is good you're not forcing it too, because then it just wouldn't be as good as this.
And that's it. I have 3 different notebooks, one for scribbling ideas, one for songs that I'll write fully, and then one for the song that will have a date on it when it's finished.
Nice.
So it just,
that's cool.
Some of them have grocery lists and scribbles and fucking,
Budgets.
fucking put this music out, dickhead! Exclamation point, like to say,
it's real now.
Yeah, some of that stuff, and and some of them, but yeah, you've been writing lots of tunes. You put out some, like in the last year, you wrote tons of tunes.
Yeah.
Like you wrote
a lot of changes in life, different directions from a breakup to a new apartment to a new girlfriend to new jobs, plenty of new jobs. So like a lot. Yeah, you get those when you feel like your life is kind of intense. That's when you sit down and a song can just come out like in like 20 minutes, and then it's done. You're like, oh shit, okay, I got a new song, and it's almost like I have like 4 or 5 different songs that they're all kind of connected. They're either all about the same person or the same event or something, and it's kind of neat to look back at the past 6 to 10 months. At a collection of songs, and probably the best stuff that I've written.
Do you find approaching a solo song is different from something that you're going to work on for StoneHouse, or do you not know until you've written the song if it's a Pat song or a StoneHouse song?
Well, what I used to do for StoneHouse is we were always kind of we would write as a team, and we still do. I just write differently than I used to. I kind of use I'm a different tool in the room. But I used to have like I was saying, like songs front to back finished. And when we became a 3-piece, actually, I would have these songs that I wrote and I'd bring them to the band, and we would learn them, and the guys would have input and stuff, just like if Mike writes a song, we have input on it, and we kind of tweak it here and there, or give it what it needs, and I would sing the songs that I wrote, like I would be the lead singer for that particular song, and it was maybe like 60-40, maybe you sang 60%, I sang 40, it might have even been like 50-50 for a bit, but the style that I was writing, and the sound that I had, and the sound that Mike had, as much as we do complement each other, I found that I was a little bit more on the alt rock side of things, and I was a different enough, and Mike was at the time just kind of slipping into like writing songs in acoustic and being rootsy and being soulful. So without knowing it, we were kind of splitting. The band sounded very different when I was writing a song, and you can pull that off with a band. But I decided, I was like, you know what? If we're going to have this was kind of right before Holy Water. I was like, if we're going to have some sort of success commercial-wise, I would prefer to see the band I'm playing in be more consistent with a look and with a sound, the whole brand thing, the whole... not that all our songs need to sound the same, but just to really hone in. So I decided, like, I'm going to take the songs that I write. I'll someday put them on an album or something, and I'm creatively content being able to have my songs as my songs and put an album out someday, whenever. But I decided to kind of take a different approach, and he was writing the best songs that he's ever written.
That was the other thing. I was writing stronger songs for me.
Yeah.
That had a feel where it's like I could play them by myself and someone would say, oh, that's a good song. Where I never had that before. Anything that, like, I wrote a lot of the riffs on the first 2 albums, but they weren't something you could play in an acoustic and sing to someone. They weren't songs. They were sections. They were this thing. Just this note, and we'd take it.
Yeah.
So it was like, I felt like it was the first time. And that was a confidence booster too, where it's like, okay, these guys are believing in the songs that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
And at no point was I ever thinking like, oh, this is my song. We're not messing with this. I don't want to be that guy in there. But I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So,
It
was like the songs, like the response from the people, like people were digging the songs in a different way.
Yeah.
And as Holy Water went out, I feel like that became. I remember you saying that. Like, I think this is probably the better idea. Let's get on this page and get behind this. In the pictures, let's put you in the middle. Because that's not even. I didn't even like that.
It was.
I don't like that. I want it to be the 3-piece band, man. That's.
Yeah.
I'm not the. We're all the dudes.
Yeah.
And that's. I thought it was. I didn't want to be up at the front. Of the picture
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
As much.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the side of the picture. And then when we're on stage, if you want to look at me, I'll learn that myself. But in the picture, I don't want the extra.
Yeah.
You know, because that's all. Because these guys are going to put on their show. I'm going to rip. I didn't want that. But it made sense. It's like, well, we got this song, we're doing this. We have the next recordings are sounding a certain way, and the singing was improving too.
Singing was improving. Yeah,
singing was improving, and it like in those songs, it was shining out a little bit more than it had before.
Yeah,
that was the thing, and it was.
Yeah, and I got to work a hell of a lot more on nailing some real serious harmonies. Like we would. Like the practice room must have sounded hilarious for anybody else in the house.
Oh,
because
Kristen
we would
fucking... Because we
we would just repeat a line over and over and over and over and over and over.
Do you remember that
Even
video?
Scott would be like, yeah.
I'm going,
was it? He's here. Yeah, and we're dead serious too.
trying my fucking hardest, right?
Yeah,
like,
Scott's losing his mind. And there's by no means did I like take a back seat and songwriting wise, because that's not what it feels like. Because I didn't so
feel
involved.
Like
yeah, it's
I never felt like anything had really changed, to be honest.
No,
Everyone
exactly.
flexes a different muscle a little bit.
I just felt like the same way at first when I hadn't developed good tunes, when he had brought the strongest full songs to the group. At no point was I going to be like, well, I have a strong full song. It was like I knew what we were doing. I could hear a good song when I heard it, and I was down to be on it.
Yeah.
And I felt like when I hit a run of writing a handful of good tunes, it was the same thing. It was like, these are great tunes. Let's go to this. And that was an interesting shift.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something like, there was just things that still kind of, they don't bug me, but like the picture, that thing, I honestly prefer when you were in the middle and I'm wearing Scott.
I know. I remember you were saying.
It's a vision thing. I don't.
And we'll probably we could definitely get back to that or get back to, but I feel like that was kind of like the move at the time.
I know, and it made a lot of sense, and I do feel like it set us in a different direction for people to look at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just funny because like if I didn't hear anybody say this, but if anybody would ever think like, oh, like. It used to be like the three guys up front, and now it's Mike. Like Mike must want more attention, or Mike must want. It was all my fucking idea.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You know what I mean?
Way,
like
right?
I think this is,
my biggest thing was always to be like Led Zeppelin in the sense that no one's replaceable.
Yeah,
we're the band that shows up in the same rig. We're all together. We're not. You pack your car, I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
We show up, we're the band, man. Like the band.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
That was what my thing was. Because I never felt like an artist or a musician first. I felt like I was a member of a band. Because, that was the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't see myself as like a musician. I see myself as like a band member for StoneHouse and a songwriter. I feel like I'm more of a songwriter, and with the stuff like getting back to the like, I feel like I'm more of a like I work on the
Fuck, we can
compositions.
ramble, man, about ourselves.
Yeah,
Hey?
he hasn't asked a question in a
Oh
while.
my god.
Yeah,
It's podcast gold. That's what podcasts are.
Oh my god. Oh my god, man.
yeah,
We can ramble about ourselves.
yeah.
What would you, out of this new singles, what would you send people towards? Like, they all have a similar vibe, but what would you send people to say this is what StoneHouse sounds like now?
Compare to the new ones coming. I think these two new ones are very different than the last four.
Really?
Yeah, they are.
They're-
And they are, and they aren't.
They are.
They
okay.
definitely fit in.
Do you
for
find
an
the
EP.
other four to be cohesive? Do you find Honeybee and Holy Water and Moment of Silence and Money Well Spent to be cohesive?
I guess when you think about them individually, it's
Maybe
It's funny.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Moment of Silence and Holy Water.
Yeah, and
as
maybe
far
Money
as-
Well Spent and
Yeah.
Honeybee.
Yeah.
Well, these two, I feel like, are another two
Yeah.
that go together
yeah.
and in their own ways. Yeah,
Those are own little
I think they're
pairings.
another pair. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's
another
the thing.
pair.
And I don't know. I don't want to be like the Holy Water guy, where that's kind of the sound. Is I don't want to be the Honeybee guy over and over again, where it's all the country twang. Those are just fucking parts, right? So it's like I don't know. That's a weird one for me. I don't know how did fucking
Somebody mentioned that to me. It was in Shoebox. Somebody random or something. Oh no, it was when I was in Cape Breton. Actually, I was talking to these two Austrian guys at Groundswell, that pub there, and we put on Honeybee. Or the bar owner put on Honeybee for them. And he goes, "Oh, so you're a country band?" And I was like, "See why you think that, but no." Yeah. Listen to the next one. But it was just funny because like they all assume that that's if you hear StoneHouse Honeybee for the first time, that's what StoneHouse sounds like, and it is, but it isn't. Right?
It totally is, but it totally isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I love.
100%. Yeah, I don't know how to not do that though.
Yeah.
Because it's like I feel like
It'd be interesting to hear it as a full 6-song package.
I feel like when we write it out though and lay it makes sense when you're listening to them in the order that we
The
put
flow,
them.
yeah.
But
Flow will be-
as songs on their own, I don't feel like there's this. Oh, StoneHouse sounds like this. This is what to expect. I don't know. I don't know what the next batch will be like. I could end up fucking rapping on them here soon. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be curious to hear the sequence in the end.
Yeah, before we take off, we'll rip the mixes.
Yeah, let's take a quick little break here.
Yeah.
All right, we're back from a quick little break, and I convinced these guys to let us have a little treat here with a listen to one of the new tracks in advance.
Yeah, new mix. This thing's not even quite finished yet, but we'll play it anyway. New stuff coming out on a new EP. The EP is going to be called Small Town Sounds, Volume 1. It's going to be partnered up with our 4 other singles finally coming out on a project. This one's going to be called Life Goes. It's a song about having a baby and kind of feeling the pressure of, your dreams and what you think you got coming up versus what has now become reality, and this clash of, I guess it is what it is kind of. It's going to be what it's going to be. That's kind of the whole message of the song, I would say.
Collision of your self-fulfillment versus
it's
your
like,
new responsibility to others.
That's how I feel about it. It's like trying to reassure yourself that it's going to be all right. Remind yourself that you still got to be you. Just because you're now a father doesn't mean you're not all these things as well. You don't have to pack up other things, whatever. So that's kind of what it's about. It was a song written in I wouldn't even call it a hectic time, just a different one, right? Something where there's a lot happening.
You don't
change,
realize
yeah.
until you've been through it, but after you've been through it, your perspective shifts and you realize that's very relatable to a huge selection of the population. You don't even have to be a parent yourself biologically to have those same experiences. So it is almost universal. It comes with age. You have to get to a certain point in your life where that's an experience you've been through, but definitely it's relatable.
Yeah, I mean, having the baby changed. It's just changed time, and there's nothing that I can reference to someone until you see something kind of grow up. How quick it makes time, and that's kind of in the song. Even the 9 months of the pregnancy, the whole thing, time really becomes.
It puts a completely different weight on
And it's like it's going right. I didn't realize how quick a year would fly by before. You know, 2015 is not that long, but now it's like, fuck, that is, because this was before this and that, and I don't know, right? But yeah, that's what this song's about anyway. Do you have access to it there? Did
yeah, awesome.
Whoever listened to this podcast in its entirety, right to the end, you get to hear an unreleased song. So good for you, one person that made it.
Thanks very much for the time, guys.
Yeah, man, fucking right.
And thanks for the listener that stayed all the way along.
I do that. I send long voice messages to the guys, and I say, and if you made it this far, fucking I appreciate you. Yeah. And then someone will answer me like, I made it that far, man. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, man. Thank you.
All right.
Feeling pressured by space and time. Soon to be responsible for a life that's not mine. So got a little boy trapped inside, and he's hanging on to his dreams like he's flying his kite. And I ain't gonna listen to what nobody say. I swear that I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared anyway. I'd probably go in blind and then come out the same way. Don't you know, it's just how life goes. It's just how life goes. It's just how life goes. And you could have anything you want, take all I've got and just shoot your shot. And you could have anything you need, take it all for free. Well, I'm on my knees, but spare the love, the love, love, love. Since September 16th, you've been weighing on my mind. But if you look close, you see a smile I can't hide. I know I'll be alright with you by my side. We made it a year's worth of few sleepless nights. Oh yeah, and I ain't gonna listen to what nobody say. I swear that I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared anyway. I'd probably go in blind and then come out the same way. Don't you know, it's just how life goes. It's just how life goes. It's just how life goes. It's just how life goes.